was at a baseball camp, and they were playing a game called running bases, and he was hit in the head with a baseball, a hard ball. I ran through the emergency room door, and I just screamed, "Head injury."
You can tell in the emergency room when there's a certain amount of intensity. That particular day was a more intense day.
When I examined Dexter, he responded very faintly to any eye contact or contact tactile, meaning touching, or voice contact, calling his name. His parents at this point, and me obviously, very concerned about him.
Saying, "Hey Dex, how you doing? Dex, how you doing?" And I didn't get any response out of him, so I said to the nurse, "What did you give him, or why is he so out of it?" She says, "Well, we don't give head patients anything. He's out of it." Dr. Bosky, who was the head of the emergency room, kind of came over to us and said, "We'll take care of things, don't worry."
We called the neurosurgeon, Dr. Duffy was on call then.
They told me that they had a serious problem of a young boy with a head injury who was neurologically deteriorating, losing consciousness.
His pupils now started to change in front of me.
In Dexter's case, he was already starting to enlarge a pupil, which is a very ominous sign in neurology, that death is imminent.
Took him right to CAT scan because I just had to explain to the technician how serious his condition was. Here we're dealing with a child who is really closer to death than to life. They took him up to the CAT scan of his brain immediately.
Fortunately, they had the CT scan of Dexter right there on the view box, and just quick glance, I saw a very large intracranial hematoma. A hematoma, and in Dexter's case, it was rapidly enlarging hematoma or blood clot, expanding inside the skull, putting more and more pressure on the brain. And as that pressure grows increasingly high or severe, the brain starts to lose function, consciousness, and ultimately, in rapid order, is life-threatening and death can ensue.
It's so overwhelming that you almost kind of feel like you're in a dream state, like, pinch me, am I here? Is this really happening? I tried to stay as focused as possible because if I didn't, I know I just would fall apart.
He truly was lapsing into unconsciousness and deteriorating by the minute, and I knew immediately that we had to take action, or we were gonna lose him.
Dr. Duffy, I have just this image of him as this knight of shining armor, just kind of coming in and just crackling with energy and walking in and just took charge, looked at the scans, looked us in the face, said to us, "You have to trust me. I need to operate immediately."
Every second, he was losing his battle for life, and it was a matter of do or die.
We had a chance before they actually put him into surgery. They brought us upstairs, I guess, into this special waiting area, and he said, "You know what? Come in and see him one more time." And I can just remember going in there, and the anesthesiologist kind of looking at me, and I looked at Dexter, and he was laying on the bed, and at that point, we hadn't even touched him since he came out of the MRI. They basically took care of him, and I just kind of remember bending over and yelling his name and yelling it as loud as I could to see if he could hear me. And I felt him either squeeze or didn't look at me, but I kind of felt for the first time that he was aware that we were there, or that he knew we were there. And that was I was hoping, obviously not the last time.
Surgery went well. We found the bleeding point, stopped it, removed this enormous blood clot. Dexter also, his skull had fractured in several pieces, so like a jigsaw puzzle, we had to size up the pieces and attach them all together. The most important thing was that when we took the drapes down and we looked at his pupils, that pupil that had been ominously dilated was now back to normal. So that was the first sign that we had pulled him back from what looked like certain neurologic devastation or even death.
Probably about 8:30, quarter to 9, the two doctors came down the hallway. Again, very upfront with us. We did what we could do. We're gonna have to wait and see.
And in my gut, I thought we had done a great job. I think we gave him the best chance of survival, but there's still that certain uncertainty that I wasn't sure.
We had no idea what to expect or what was gonna happen, but just from everything that led up to it, and then standing there for 3 hours and not having any answers and not knowing.
We walk up to him and he kind of turns his head, and I think, Bill, you said to him something about the Mets winning. And he said, "Who won?" And it was like music to my ears just listening to him talk. I mean, he started to talk almost 10 minutes
Right.
out of recovery.
Right.
It was really a miracle. It was unbelievable.
The next morning, and even before I got to the ICU, one of the nurses coming out, who I know, said, "Oh, great job. Dexter is awake and talking." And I'll tell you, I got, as I'm getting now, chills about hearing that kind of news.
The Loescher family is a perfect example of why we're here. A boy gets injured, a bruise, a bump, but as the injury became more obvious, and there really was no question as to where to go, we are your community hospital. They had to come here. And fortunately for them, perhaps not knowing it, we were prepared. We're prepared every day.
To have this facility around the corner, I mean, literally we're, 3-4 blocks away. Yeah, it's a blessing.
We're in a growing community now. Our emergency room is stressed. Our operating room is stressed. We deliver more babies here than in any other hospital in Westchester County. We have needs to support our cardiac patients. We have an orthopedic service that is hugely busy. I think now that we're in this new phase of our Healthcare for Life campaign, I think it's important that the community recognize how important we are to every individual. And perhaps an investment in this hospital is really an investment in their own good health.
These are rough times for all of us in medicine. From the physicians, nurses, and hospital administrators, we have to do a lot, and frequently a lot more with a lot less.
Cancer treatment in general is advancing so rapidly, and radiation oncology specifically is such a technologically dependent field. I can't imagine a facility like this existing without outside donations.
What we're learning is that we're only as good as the support of our community. This program is a classic example of what the community can do for itself.
It's important to make your community hospital state of the art so that anyone at any time feels comfortable coming to their local hospital.
When they have an acute crisis, they are coming to White Plains Hospital, and we need to be able to provide them with the best treatment that we can.
Whether it's a birth, whether it's an injury, whether it's chest pain, whether it's cancer, whether it's an EKG, a chest x-ray, a blood test, sometime in your life, White Plains Hospital will be important to you.
Dr. Jonas Salk once said, "I feel the greatest reward for doing is the opportunity to do more."
I can't believe what we went through, what he went through. Sometimes I can't even handle the emotions, just to think what could have been.